Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, no video went up last night. Sorry, turn on my little light here. Got a crystal that's it's a really cool crystal. It's a sphere, crystal sphere with an amethyst bottom on it, and when you put a light source underneath it, it glows kind of a purple color underneath it. I'll show you what I mean. Light, this. And then if you put a light source underneath it, you get this great purple effect on these big chunky crystals on here. And I put this on my desk with a selenite plate underneath it. And I use that as a potential source to help with intuition. For those folks who like the woo with their tarot readings. For those who don't believe in it, that's fine. It's a beautiful crystal, and I absolutely love it. Okay, last night I was not feeling it at all. That's why no video went up there. I played some video games and I went to bed. There's nothing really compelling in the news. I didn't want to read on the Charlie Kirk shooter updates. I had already done the one update regarding the manhunt for it. Now, when I got up this morning, first thing I did was check the news to see if there are any updates, and it appears that they did capture or arrest a young man that they feel is responsible for shooting Charlie Kirk. And when I read the story, or as I was reading it, they got him. That's the right guy. What do we know? The alleged shooter's name is Tyler Robinson. He grew up in Utah. His family, according, I've got a New York Post article up here. His family are conservatives. According to his grandmother, the father is a Trump Republican, and that pretty much she says most of my family members are Republican. I don't know any single one who's a Democrat. She described Tyler as being the shyest person in the family. He never ever spoke about politics to her. A neighbor of the family said that Tyler had attended the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, otherwise known as the Mormons, when he was younger. Don't know if he was still a practicing Mormon. The man's 22 years old. Apparently there was a discussion of the family. The father was a sheriff, or worked in the sheriff's department. He was a deputy, and I see reports that he became a minister. Not that that matters one way or another, but let's just say that conservative politics, law enforcement, Mormon church are this person's upbringing. Cisgendered white male. Apparently there was a discussion at the table, and they each sounded off on why they didn't like Charlie Kirk. And I can understand that. Even though Charlie Kirk, I guess evangelicals look at Mormons as a cult. And I think Mormonism might be a cult, at least according to the knitting cult lady I watch on TikTok. Who has grown up in a cult and has escaped cults. She sees the Mormon church as a cult and sees the classic signs there. That being aside, I'm not vilifying Mormons or anything along those lines. I'm just saying that's what I've heard. The father, the family raised the kids with guns at a young age. There are like Halloween photos of young Tyler with a gun. And that's just going with it. The family was discussing why they didn't like Charlie Kirk. And I can understand why they didn't like him, because the Mormons, at least the Mormons that I've known, I've had neighbors that were Mormons. Now, they were very religious, and they very much tried to follow the Bible as well as they could. And I think they would see the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk was saying as divisive. That doesn't mean all of it. That just means some of it, because I certainly got into arguments with a neighbor when California was trying to pass Proposition 8, which was going to be the definition of marriage was between a man and a woman. Now, at that time, I was a Republican. I thought it was simply ridiculous. I don't need a law to define who can be married and who can't be. And I had very spiritual debates with my neighbor over this one, but that's neither here nor there. I love him to death, but man, that just... It was at a time where you could disagree on something and not think the other person was evil, because it was really just a difference of opinion, and it became kind of a spiritual value debate. And it was never to say that his viewpoint was wrong, but I felt it wasn't right, and I could defend myself with points on that one. And he would try and use the Bible as his reference source. Okay. I want to read on the energy of this arrest. This kind of really kneecaps the whole Republican right-wing MAGA anger points, talking points they're saying about how this is some gay, trans, progressive, radicalized, liberal type thing. No. Radicalized, I believe, to kill somebody over their political statements is radicalization. But I don't think it's the radicalization that the right thinks it is, and they might be surprised where the radicalization comes from. And it seems like it's kind of a gun culture thing. If I disagree with you when I have a gun, I can show you you're wrong in a very violent and sudden way. A couple things I want to correct. When we talked about the shooting, when I watched the video, you could see the wound on Charlie Kirk's neck. But I had watched the video a number of times, and I had noticed that Charlie Kirk's shirt kind of pulls up just a little bit prior to the wound you're seeing on the neck. And likely what happened was this shot came in right around here on the chest. And it looked like Charlie Kirk was wearing a vest, a bulletproof vest, but it hit above it. And what we saw, the wound in the neck, was likely the exit wound of the bullet. And it probably caught the carotid artery on the way out when that happened. I would say it was a lucky shot, but I don't think the damage was... It wasn't like he was intending to hit the jugular vein or the carotid artery on the neck. I think that's just what happened. And again, seeing the actual video of it is horrifying. And, as much as I could read Charlie Kirk with Sean and go, yeah, that guy deserves it. What a jerk. But to actually see, it's like, oh man, no. When you see it, it's really different. And I think that's kind of where we have to get through, is that internet's sort of made things very anonymous. Talk about people being keyboard warriors are real tough when they're behind a screen and they're anonymous. But if you actually see them in person, they're very different feeling. And that's probably part of the divisiveness in this country, is that people are isolated and they're not interacting. But again, let's go look into the energy of Tyler Robinson, the young man who was arrested today. This is for entertainment purposes only. One last little thing here is that when I did my initial reading on this, I just felt like there was such similarities between Robinson, Kirk, and Trump. There was such an interesting overlap. Let's see what we've got going on here with Tyler Robinson. Foundation of the reading is the Lover's card. I think he feels like he was very justified in doing what he did. I don't want to say doing God's... Oh, that was the other thing. So, again, went to the Mormon church, but there's no indication he's currently practicing. He grew up in a Republican family, but he did not vote in the last couple of elections. And his election affiliation is not listed as Republican or Democrat. It's just not affiliated. So he can't really play the political angle on this. This just could be one of the things he just didn't like Charlie Kirk for whatever reason. I'm assuming he didn't like Charlie Kirk because he thought Charlie Kirk was a miserable human being, rather than Charlie Kirk wasn't miserable enough, and I will show you miserable, that type of thing. But I think he felt very justified in doing what he was doing, almost like doing God's will. Crossed with the Page of Pentacles. Young person with their values. underneath it all, the Queen of Cups just snapped. It just seems like this is one of those folks, like the grandmother saying, he was the quiet, shy one who never talked politics to her. Still waters run deep. That type of thing. Probably find he's a really, really passionate person deep down, and again, he just doing his bidding on Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, the young man, expressing his values, and this young man feeling like, I don't think. No, I'm assuming here, but like, God doesn't like your value, doesn't like this young man with the values, and I can do something to shut it down. That kind of thing. This feeling of helplessness, we'll see. In the past, the Six of Cups, there's that youthful naivety. It's a gift of things. Young person, maybe not very worldly, or just, maybe just kept things simple. Things were simple. When I say things were handed to him, maybe things were handed to him too. And you've got the red hat, which could signify the MAGA type of environment. Kind of the, cisgender white male, 22-year-old white male, had a scholarship to go to college, grew up in a conservative family. Just probably had a nice life growing up. The current situation is the Ace of Pentacles. It's almost like he felt like he had a calling. I'll be interested to see how this turns out. Again, whether this Charlie Kirk or the young man with their values, there was a big value push here. Whether he thought Charlie Kirk's values were wrong, counterfeit, and his were true values, we'll see. But he had a big push on this. I don't think this was done for money. This is more of a values push. Maybe we could put to bed any thoughts. I was about to say, put to bed any thoughts that this kid was hired by Trump to do this, or hired by somebody to do this. It's possible. If there's a money trail, there'll be a money trail. I'm not really seeing a money trail with it in this one. Overarching energy is the Two of Cups, an agreement. Because I think instead of being money, I think this is values and speaking and holding your values dear. Agreements. Contracts and agreements, but it's minor agreements. It's not the big contracts. This is the big contracts here. It's like he's got the big contract with the Lord, so to speak, and this is his way of honoring that contract. I would be curious to see if this guy has PTSD of some sort, or feels like he got a message from God to do this. I'll be curious. Lesson to be learned, the Three of Coins. No, conspiracy. First off, Charlie Kirk's light is out. His money is dark. But planning conspiracy. Right now they think he worked alone, and there's no reason to believe anything other than that, other than the two people of interest they arrested. It would be really curious if the police ever explained why they arrested those two people. This might just simply be that he went down a dark path. He thought he was doing God's work, but he actually went down the path of the dark trilogy and not the trilogy of light. Father, Son, Holy Spirit type of thing. And now the family has to deal with this. Yeah, he might be. I'll be curious. Once you're inside prison being processed, if he really starts rethinking what he thought he was going to be versus what it is. Outcome is the Five of Coins. And he'll be outcasted. I think he went from when he shot Charlie Kirk to thinking, powerful doing the right thing, and he's going to find out that he did the exact wrong thing. No, the kingdom of God is within you. It's not outside of you. And Charlie Kirk was never your problem to deal with. Your problems to deal with were always inside of you. Yeah, there's going to be issues. I will be curious to find out this young man's motivations and his mental health. I will be very curious to see what that information comes out. But they got the right guy. I'm convinced. This is not some setup here. Literally, the father recognized his son in the pictures. The father talked with the son on the phone, and the father reached out, I think, to a family friend who called the police. And I'm sure and again, the father is former law enforcement. It must have crushed his family, especially his father. It must have crushed his family to find out that his son murdered another man. And that man was Charlie Kirk. Now, whether the father and the family agreed with Charlie Kirk or not, I think is irrelevant. Just as a parent, knowing that this person who you brought into this world and spent 22 years with raising did this. What was family life like for Mr. Robinson here, for Tyler Robinson? Was just a little four-quarter. What was his family life like growing up? I mean, maybe this was an abusive family. I don't know. I'm assuming it wasn't. 6 of coins. A lot of values. I see values in charity. Again, the Mormons, for what it's worth, at least the Mormon family I knew, really tried to walk the walk. Not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. And do a lot for the church. Got a burden. Fiery. Page of Pentacles. Knight of Swords. There's a charity and a crusading type thing. I suspect he didn't go on a mission. But I think they probably were fairly involved with the church, tithing, that sort of thing. And probably, they had strong values. Strong values, strong opinions on things. I imagine with the Seven of Wands, the family could get fiery at times. It might be difficult growing up in that family. Page of Pentacles, the son may have had different ideas than the parental units, or it was hard for him to express his ideas because of a hierarchy in the family. I'm not saying it's a perfect family, but and he probably had some difficulties growing up. Maybe the Seven of Wands shows that he was picked on, he had to fight or something along those lines. There's some fire energy here. There's some strong opinions and actions being taken. But it might also be one of those things that when you see people in need, you need to take action, ease their burden, and come up with ideas to help. How do you help somebody who needs your help and act quickly? That's a really nice way to put it. But acting, fighting for the good and acting quickly doesn't necessarily justify murdering somebody. Now, for what it's worth, the governor, I believe it's the governor of Utah, is really pleading for peace amongst people, and that he feels that social media is really toxic and is causing these divisions. Let me scan through this article so I can get his name. Utah Governor Spencer Cox plea. Long an advocate for civility, A Republican politician made an impassioned plea for Americans to use the horror of Kirk's assassination as an inflection point to turn the country away from political violence and division. Speaking specifically to young Americans, he said, "Your generation has an opportunity to build a culture that is very different than what we are suffering through right now." For Carter on Spencer Cox. In his statement, he's seen the declining values causing turmoil and that it's a death spiral. Working for the betterment of things. We're in crazy times and we need to come together. Three of Wands. We still have time. It's not. The death spiral is still recoverable from it. I think he's being very sincere in that. And who was it? One of the intuitives was saying that they thought they saw the change happening in Utah, of all places. Was it Sterling that said that? Somebody saw the change happening in Utah, of all places. Not exactly the place that we would expect the change to happen from. But there's just so much turmoil right now. Empress cards just popping up here for the betterment of the United States. Okay. Lastly, Spirit 7 Carter. What else do you want to share with this current situation with Tyler Robinson and this whole shooting situation? And we'll leave it here. 9 of Wands. I don't think we're through it. It just feels, people looking over their shoulder, waiting for the next event to happen. It's a little bit PTSD for us as well, because you're expecting the retaliation. Hawk on TikTok was commenting that MAGA and the right are really upset about this shooting. And he pointed out, well, we've had political shootings for hundreds of years and political violence for hundreds of years. The only difference with this one is that the conservative groups, that, mind you, I'm quoting him, the conservative groups are the ones used to being the one behind the gun, not in front of it. I'm paraphrasing. In other words, they're the ones who are used to perpetuating the violence on others, not to be on the receiving end of it. And there is this feeling, looking at this whole case of 9 of Wands, it's like, we're at the penultimate battle. We're not at the final battle, but it's like there's more to come. And the Queen of Swords, it's kind of a necessary process that we have to go through. Not enough people are awake. So we have to make it so bad that you finally are forced to do something about it and work on the issues, work on the values of it. And it might just be the economy is the final blow, but God, it's going to be a long time before the economy hits for this thing to resolve itself. Keep doing the work. Just keep doing the work. 2 of Coins, just like the governor here. We're in a downward spiral of values, and it's causing turmoil. Which side are you going to be on? The 3D or the 5D side of things? Current situation, the energies are crazy right now. All the fighting, all the anger, all of this is currently happening here. We're not through it yet. We're still in the middle of it. Overarching energy is the 2 of Wands. More coming. It could be that once we're through this, we'll be okay. This is kind of the journey you have to go through to get there as things come being torn down. But all this fire energy, so much anger. Lesson to be learned is the 9 of Cups. 2 ways to go with this. If you want to get to where you want to be, where everybody's happy, you have to go through this. But to me, the other thing was, there are people watching this that are fomenting the violence. They're sitting above the fray. Could we try and get your emotions above the fray to get above this? I don't know. We'll see. Outcome is the Ace of Swords. Cutting through the BS, as Dr. Lena would say. Crusade, it's like you've got to, at some point, come up for a cause worth fighting for. And I think that's the problem we're running into in the United States right now. We don't have the common cause. We don't have that one cause that unites the people. I mean, let's face it. And I hate to say this because it's pessimistic, but it's also realistic. A shooting like this should horrify people to the point that they want to come together and stop shootings like this. Assassination of political characters. Much like, say, the shooting of Martin Luther King. Now, I wasn't born then. I don't know what happened to the country after the shooting of Martin Luther King. I know many people mourned it, but did the racists celebrate it? That type of thing. The shooting of President Kennedy probably united the country. 9/11 united the country. We need something to unite this country, and we haven't had it yet. And that's where I'm afraid the economy part comes in, because it's something that impacts everybody. We had COVID, that could have united the country, but that got split. We had the economic collapse in 2008, 2009. Didn't unite the country. We've got the Epstein stuff coming up now. Is that going to unite the country? You think that the country could unite to go against child sex trafficking and things like that? I don't know. Anyways, we'll leave it here. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purpose only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.